everyone. Thanks for coming back for another segment of Michigan Conservative Roundtable. Kim is to my right. I almost said left. Kim is to my right. Special guest host, and he is so special. Rick to my left. And in this one, I want to talk about something I got to experience in my days of youth when I was Rick's age. And I'll get right to it. As for the sake, our old timers know I'm prior service Army. For the sake of the new subscribers, I'm ex-Army, and I did a 3-year tour in Germany, which involved multiple surveillance missions on the East German border when it was still communist. So, my question to Rick is, what do you know about East Germany under communism? What do you know? Well, and I am kind of curious, what was taught you in school about the communist, the Warsaw Pact or the USSR? And this is not a trick question.
It was lightly touched on. I know it was definitely a place you didn't want to be. Apart from them just touching on it, that after World War II and it was just a communist. It was a split nation, and they didn't go too much into detail about it.
And for the record, and part of the reason why I wanted to do this is a little bit of a generation thing. Kim and I are probably a little better, more than twice your age. So what we know back when we were your age, as opposed to what you either have been taught or read or even know of, and that's what's kind of driving all this.
Okay.
And what I wanted to run by you, Rick, was, did you know that, did you know there was, on the East German border, there was 3 fences to prevent people from defecting? 3, not 1, 3.
I did not know that.
3 fences.
I did not know that.
Did you know that one of those fences was 5 kilometers in, so that if someone got past that very first fence, they thought they might have been in West Germany and would turn themselves in, only to find out they were still in East Germany?
Really?
Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Were you told that there were landmines, minefields, dog runs, football fields long, dog runs between the fences? In other words, if you got past the fence, you'd have to get past the minefield. If you got past the minefield, you'd have to get past the dog runs, and then finally you got one more fence.
I knew some of that. I knew that there were some mines and some smaller fences and dogs and everything, but I didn't know it was to that extent. No.
And a little off topic without getting too specific, I noticed you drove a very nice car today. Okay?
Yes.
All right, you drove. Well, how would you like to drive a piece of shit vehicle that had maybe 80 horsepower?
Not
80 horsepower.
Not
80 horsepower. Because that's what those people were driving. Yeah. They drove crappy cars with 80 horsepower.
If they were lucky enough to have a car.
Yeah, that's true.
They had USSR had Pravda. Do you remember Pravda?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was state-controlled media. Pravda.
Okay.
And Monopoly. The game Monopoly was outlawed in USSR.
Really?
Because Monopoly was based on capitalist greed. And communism was a 180 from capitalism.
Yeah. Exact opposite.
They were told what they would go to college for. They didn't have a
choice.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
Really?
To go into a certain area.
They were told what
they were going to go study and what they would do for the rest of their lives as work goes.
The way
that's what I like.
The way I understood
freedom.
It is they were given kind of like an aptitude test, and then whatever they scored well in, without question, that's what you're going into.
And they couldn't.
You go.
Yeah. So people excel in hobbies, but actually have a real job doing something else. And that's where that kind of goes crazy. But in any event, I wanted to run these things by Rick because because I feel like we're coming full circle. Remember the politburo, the political elite,
right?
Well, what do you think we got in D.C.?
We have-
What do you think we got in Washington, D.C. behind that fence of theirs?
Oh, they're
We
great.
got our own little version of politburo.
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, they essentially
know?
think they're better than the common day people.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's for sure. And in the USSR, if you weren't part of the politburo, you lived in abject poverty.
Right.
Okay,
It was either rich or very poor.
You
Yeah.
know, and the USSR was almost a dichotomy. You know, it had the makings of a modern day society, but once you got into flyover country, it like that became third world.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
you know, and there was a saying going back to when the USSR was communist run. We pretend to work, they pretend to pay us.
Mhm.
You know, have you ever heard that before?
No, I've not.
Okay, well,
That's
that
an
was a
interesting
saying from back then.
It's an interesting saying.
And you know, I mentioned Pravda, but you know, we got state-controlled media here.
It's
You know,
already.
it is an extension. In fact, I've heard it speculated that the media is actually the
It's the arm of the left.
arm of the Democrat Party.
Yep. I totally agree with that.
You know, and I mentioned the crappy cars. What are they? They're trying to make us drive these crappy cars today
No, yeah.
that no one wants to buy. You know what?
Shapeless blobs that are good for the environment, but there's
Electric
a lot more.
cars.
Yeah, there's a lot more to the whole battery systems of an EV car that people don't really realize.
Oh, and don't even think about owning a firearm.
Oh, yeah.
You know, don't even think about owning a firearm. They were not allowed to own firearms. You know, they were just disarmed in these Soviet-run countries.
And they're working on that here. You know, in the last couple of days, several laws have been passed to limit our gun. You know, it used to be a check in 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're saying, 10 to 30 days we have to allow the FBI before we can own a gun.
Really?
And they always refer to it as a cooling off period. In other words, some guy gets into an argument for whatever reason. He's a hothead. He goes, runs off, he gets a gun, and then does mayhem. You know, so if a person's going to do mayhem, he's going to find a way to do what it is he wants to do.
Well, here's my thing: control the person.
Mm-hmm.
The firearm doesn't get up and walk on its own.
Exactly.
So we need better mental health in this country.
Yeah.
Is our problem. It's not our guns.
Yeah.
It's a lack of mental health.
You touched on the car out there. I'm a big car guy, and people worry about people getting guns and stuff like that. But you can go on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, and you can buy an F-250 for $2,000, and you can go find a big group of people if it's a four-wheel drive and do just as much mayhem with a car or big truck that you can buy off the street with no checks.
And knives.
Exactly, and knives. You can buy a house knife. You can buy a kitchen knife, and it's you can do a lot of damage before someone gets you.
What I wanted to do in this segment was I wanted to run by you, Rick, what life was like under a Soviet country. Do you not see some of the things that are playing out before our very eyes today?
Yep.
Compared to what I saw back, and I was there in the mid-1980s. So we'll say 80, 84, 85, 86, okay, is when I experienced what I experienced over there. But I'll tell you what, and I've said it in previous videos, what's driven me in all these videos when Mac and I started doing this YouTube channel here, my concern was I saw us becoming what I saw in East Germany. And that is my concern. And when I think in terms of the younger generation, and unfortunately for Rick, he'll have to be associated with that younger generation.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I am just wondering, does the younger generation not see what we're becoming? Have they not seen the outcome of the path we're on?
No,
you know,
they've taken
that has me concerned.
They've taken it out of schools. The East Germany. I don't know too much about it. I knew we touched on World War II and Nazi-controlled Germany, and they touched on that, and we spent a little bit more time on that. But if you forget the past, you're destined to repeat it. Is that Roosevelt quote?
Yeah. And the thing of it is, they talk about all the people that died under Hitler totally glossing over all the people that died under Stalin.
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 You know,
Stalin so much more.
and Mao.
Yeah.
But and that's why I wanted Rick to accompany us on this particular segment, was because I wanted to talk to a younger generation and say, did you guys know this? Did you guys know this existed? And it's my hope that others like Rick, say, wow, we need to do what we can to not become basically Soviet-like satellites, which, from what I saw when I was in Germany, and that's what I wanted to talk about in this segment here. Any thoughts? Any final thoughts?
None in particular. Just we need to educate people as to the horrors of communism and
Socialism also.
It's all about control.
and-
It's all about control.
Yeah.
And whatever the mechanism is,
Bugs the hell out of me.
it's all about whatever it takes, control the populace. Okay.
Yep.
Enough ranting. For those who hung tough, we appreciate your minutes.
Thank you.
So that's it. That's a wrap. See you in the next one. As always, be safe. Watch your six, and don't tread on me.